So, why I think we're more connected but lonelier than ever. There's a few topics I kind of want to touch on in this video, but I feel like the best place to sort of start off with, this question is to just first talk about like the rise of the internet and how, that's like a major factor in why people are more lonelier than ever. So I kind of want to take it back to like the olden days where people were sort of, living their life without the internet. Like, this was back in the day when you could go out, sort of naturally meet people, have human interactions where you can sort of see people's emotions, or you can judge people's emotions, sort of see how they move, like analyze their facial features, gestures. Like, all of these are skills, right? Like, when you're talking to someone now, face to face, you look at their mannerisms, like you look at them like how they move, what they're doing, like how they're behaving, how they're speaking, and then from there you can sort of make a judge. You can judge them based on what they've shown you. Whereas, nowadays that is a lot more difficult because of the internet. So, when you're messaging someone online, it's like you don't have that human interaction, that human connection anymore. You're literally like dumping your thoughts onto a mini computer called your phone, depending on what phone you have. But, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have iPhones now, so it's like you're just dumping your thoughts onto a phone for someone to read and then go about their day. And by doing that, you sort of lose the spark. Like you lose that sort of that energy exchange. Like, everything is just virtual now, so there's no like, you can't judge, you don't know what someone's doing. All you know is what they've sent you, and through that, there's a disconnect. And it's so ironic how the internet is meant to connect people, yet everyone is just so disconnected. Like, it makes you think about the pros and cons of like life in general, because with the internet, there are a lot of benefits to it. Like, yes, you are more connected in the sense that you have access, to a lot more people, to a wider network, but you don't have that human connection. Like, you don't have that connection that you had when you just walked outside and you met someone. And that is getting it's getting bad. Like, it's getting bad. Even if you just look at how like social media is and how people act on social media now, it's like everyone wants to show you their best self. Like, they don't want to show you all the flaws. They just want to sugarcoat everything, fluff it up and post it. And from a business perspective, I can understand why that could be beneficial, but what you're doing is like you're setting a new level on the playing field, and now everybody has to become accustomed to that level. But it never started there. Like, I remember when I was little, like, I could go outside. This is like when I was like, I don't know, maybe 5 to to 13, because like after the age 13 is when really you hit like secondary school or high school, and then like that's when you get introduced to the whole, like that's when I got introduced to the whole, like it's a different side of there's a whole different side of people, like, you know, this is when the internet came about and everybody was just socializing online. But anyway, I remember when I was little, I would go out and like just walk about with my friends and then just meet people that way. Like, you know, when you just go outside to the park, or you're with, I don't know, you go to get something to eat and then you just meet people. That's sort of how I was raised between those ages. And then, you know, the internet came about, social media came about, and everything just changed. Like, everything just changed. I feel like as well, a lot of people are actually getting smarter or more clever. Mainly because there's such a disconnect in, you know, human interaction and sort of understanding who a person is. It now means that people are looking more on their phones of how to find out what someone's doing, or, you know, finding little sneaky tricks here and there of how to see someone's location, for example, or see where they last were, or see what they're doing. Like, it's so weird, like because I have like a tight family, right? So there's like a lot of younger children sometimes that come to the house, for example, and I'm just seeing how they interact, and they're so clever. But I just think, like, why is it that all these kids are now getting so clever? And it's because, like, they're just on their phone or they're on their iPads all the time. Like, they're just on their iPad watching stuff. If they're not watching stuff, then they're just playing games. Like, it's just like, it's so crazy, because as a species, we're getting, you know, we're advancing more, yet all the human elements are just degrading. Like, someone like should really do like a big deep dive into what is going on, because when you actually look at this stuff, it's so crazy. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, you know, internet is a major factor in this, and you can go down so many rabbit holes. But another sort of route I wanted to talk about is how there's like less community now. So it's like, because people are so used to being on their phones and just doing their own thing, you know, people are just becoming more and more isolated. And what that does is that kind of leads you into like this, like, it puts you in a corner of like seclusion, so you don't really open up yourself to more people. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people go through, like including myself, where, you know, you're so used to just doing what you need to do that you don't really pay no mind to getting to know more people, or you just don't, it doesn't cross your mind anymore. Whereas, you know, back in the day, like if I was to ask like my grandparents like how life was, you know, they'll be telling me things like, you know, they know their neighbor, like they know their neighbor, they know the guy down the street, they know the guy that's down the street, because they get to know their community, because there's nothing else sort of like taking their attention. You know, these are skills and things that they just have. Like, they had even like speaking, I actually spoke to my grandma, and like she was telling me how like the world has just changed so much, because everybody is just so like to themselves now, and there's no like units anymore. There's no place to go for certain things. Like, and even if there are communities, you know, they're online. Like, they're online communities. Like, I saw this thing the other day, right? And I was just on YouTube, and it was an ad popped up, and it was like an online virtual therapy session. And I was just like, bro, to be honest, I don't agree with therapy anyway. But it's just the fact that, you know, at least there was like a human connection with therapy before. Like now it's just online. Like it's completely different. It's just like, it's so interesting to see how life's changed. Even for example, you could put like Discord in there in terms of, you know, the online community, and it's bringing so many people together, yet disconnecting so many people. And I don't feel like there is like a major workaround with it. I think it's just gonna be one of those things that we're gonna have to learn to live with, sort of notice the flaws, and just try and, I guess, adapt and change like how we decide to live. Because, you know, there's not gonna be like okay, we're gonna stop the internet, or okay, like we're gonna take away iPhones. Like, no, that's not gonna happen. You know, the world is just gonna keep advancing, and it's like, if you don't have any sort of capital power, or, you know, some sort of like influence on the world, then it's gonna just take over you. Like, it's really the big steppers who are controlling all of this, and, you know, they're not looking to slow down anytime soon. So it's really just about, yeah, just keeping on top of things. And you know, even if, like, for the sake of your generation, like your kids, your kids, like, you know, you gotta keep that all in mind as well, because you don't want them to be like, I don't know. With me, I'd want my kids to always have that human connection, so they can understand, you know, what life is actually like. Because the way we're living right now, I wouldn't call this life. This is just, it's just like, it's surviving. Actually, I wouldn't say it's surviving, I wouldn't say that. It's just a more comfortable way of living, put it like that, where everyone can just do what they want when they want. You know, which there are some benefits too, don't get me wrong, like there are a lot of benefits to that, but one of the disadvantages is that we're lonelier than ever. But yeah, I also wanted to talk about like how there's less trust now, you know, between people, like friendships, relationships, whatever you want to call it. There's just like a lot less trust, and that's because I feel like people haven't built up the foundation of, you know, human interaction. For example, if we're talking about relationships, like there's a rise in like online dating and stuff, and how people are interacting like in that space. So like you'll meet someone online, and then, you know, meet up in person. You know, few months down the line, you guys might decide to go out, or like, I don't know, maybe you decide to get married. But you know, I feel like there's always gonna be that thing in the back of your mind, like there's just less trust, like, because the foundation of the relationship wasn't built naturally, like it was built online. So I feel as though people may sort of second guess their partner, or, you know, their friends' actions towards certain things. Like, I don't know, they may be doing things. It's a tricky one. It's so tricky for me, like, especially talking about like the online, like just relationships in general, and like the online space and then the natural space. Like me personally, I prefer to meet someone in real life, just because you get that human connection. Like, I've tried to do the online thing. Like, obviously, you know, when you're young, like everyone's online, everyone's talking to Like I've been talking to girls online, like, but you know, as it's fun for a little bit, but you really just start to realize like there's nothing there. Like it's just a way to fill time, if that makes sense. Like there's really nothing there. And like, yeah, it's just sad. Like, it's sad. But yeah, I prefer to meet someone like in real life just to see, you know, if we actually get along. Like, I'm not a person that's like gonna type like what I do or who I am. Like, I would rather meet that person and just show them, and then they can make a judgment on me based off, you know, what I've shown them and who I am. Like, that's how it should be, in my opinion. That's how it should be. But I feel like, you know, things are getting out of control, so I can understand why someone would resort to online dating and stuff like that. Like, I understand, I get it. You know, people aren't always in the best circumstances or situations where they can sort of just like meet someone. But yeah, I'm gonna touch on this last sort of topic, which is that I feel like there's not a lot of stable households anymore. So what that does is like it leaves a disconnect. A lot of like children don't have stable homes, so they're growing up just learning from other people in society and what other people are doing and what's right. And you know, one of those things are that like talking online and doing all this stuff online is the way to go. And they don't have that, as I said, going back to like the foundation, they don't have that foundation of going outside or just meeting people, like real life discussions. They don't have that. So they're just growing up thinking, you know, talking online is just normal, doing everything online is normal to them. Which is why, you know, going back to the point of talking about generations, like it's so important that if you're thinking long term, like it's so important that you keep this stuff on your mind and how you raise your children and stuff. Because like I've seen it, like I've been to friend's house. I don't know why I can't talk today. I've been to some of my friends' houses and their families are raised like so different. Like you would see like a kid just, I don't know, like I feel like a lot of kids are very aggy these days. Like they have a lot of like, I don't want to say it's ADHD. I don't know if it's ADHD, but they're just very like, they can't sit still, or they're just always like moving about and stuff. Like it's weird. But you know, that's a whole different rabbit hole anyway. But yeah, it's food for thought, something to think about. And yeah, I think I'm gonna end it there because this video is getting quite long and I don't want to make it more than 20 minutes. But if you enjoyed this video or, you know, got any sort of value from this, drop a like, subscribe, and, you know, also just leave your comments and, you know, your opinions on what you think in the description, because I'm pretty sure there's someone out there who, you know, agrees with what you're saying or agrees with what I'm saying, or maybe they disagree with what I'm saying and they agree with what you're saying. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. It's your boy on an off day, and I'm out. Peace.